This episode of 6'5 Guys is brought to you by Defiance Machine, defying tradition with innovation. Our Bros Rifles, precision on another level. JC Steel Targets, the industry leader in quality AR-500 steel targets.
Hi, welcome to 6'5 Guys. I'm Ed Mobley.
And I'm Steve Lawrence.
And today we have the first in a series. We have our contributor to the show, Chris Phillips.
So joining us now is Chris Phillips. Chris, take a minute and introduce yourself.
Yeah, guys, my name is Chris Phillips. I shot with Ed and Steve in Washington for the first year as I got into the precision rifle game. I have since then moved to Los Alamos, New Mexico. I'm here for 1 year, and I'll be heading to Virginia later this summer. This is my second year of doing precision rifle. I have my first actual PRS coming up here in April, and I've been shooting local and regional matches since then.
Well, that's terrific, and we're really happy that just because you moved away, the relationship is continuing.
So let's talk a little bit about the match scene, Chris. We understand that you attended a match in January there in the Albuquerque area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I attended a match here in January. It's at the Zia Rifle and Pistol Club. It's a monthly match. I did attend it also last October. And it's a good match. It kind of follows the same thing along the lines of the Upper Nisqually match that I shot with you guys back in Washington. So it's monthly. It's a good group of guys. The average attendance is about 12 a month. It can be in the single digits or as much as about 20 guys get together each month. And it's more than half off your belly. They do a good job of setting up different stages that are interesting, that have a level of difficulty to them, but yet that aren't anything crazy either.
Now, there's folks there in the New Mexico area that people might recognize. So, who are some of the shooters that attend this?
Yeah, this January match, I was able to shoot with, I believe it was 4 of the JAE guys. We have Justin Baker, Aaron Segura, Wes Rowland, and Curtis Winter. All great shooters, great guys. Gave me lots of little tips and tricks to assist me along the way. It's the same as I experienced in the Northwest with you guys, Scott Satterley, Kevin Ditto, same caliber of guys shooting down here and the Southwest. We have this match that's a monthly match. There's another match nearby in Del Norte. They have the Raton match up in the northern corner of New Mexico, which is the NRA Whittington Center, and we'll talk more about that later. And as you guys know, also the Still Safari is held down here as well.
So, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, all of that in the New Mexico area, and the fact that your club match, like a quarter to a third of the shooters are sponsored shooters, I mean, that must up the level of competition and just training that any participant would get.
Oh yeah, again, it's great shooting with caliber of shooters like that. Again, you may not come in thinking you're going to win it because there's some guys like that there, but they don't shun you just because you're not a professional shooter or a sponsored shooter. I have yet to meet anyone in this game that isn't willing to assist an up-and-coming shooter or an amateur in the game, and you are learning things all along the way. So every match that I go to, I always learn something else to put in my tool bag.
Chris, in that January match, tell us a little bit about some of the stages that you encountered.
Yeah, this particular match back in January, we had some interesting stages. The first thing we started off with was the dot stage. So I believe the rounds were unlimited for this, but you had a very short amount of time, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 seconds. You had dots set up at 100 yards, and then you had to hit as many dots as you could within that short amount of time. I didn't get nearly as many rounds off as some of the other guys, but guys like Wes, he was really able to rock that stage. After that, we had a stage that was kind of a little bit of everything. It was a prone stage, but it had a lot of transitions from near to far and from left to right in the stage. And then a very unique stage we had was the tire stage. A little bit of difficulty for me because I'm vertically challenged, but it was a tire that had a weighted bottom to it, so it's constantly fighting you, trying to right itself up, and you have to fight it, get it flat, get a stable firing position, and then engage targets off of that rotating tire. The stage after that we had was the Connex box stage. We started on the Connex. We took a shot at the furthest target, which I believe was 830 yards for this range. And then you transition from there to a doghouse type roof, a set of tires that were a little bit of difficulty shooting off of because they're not very stable, and then a large tree trunk is where you finish that stage up at. And then in addition to that, we had a barricade stage where you transition. It's similar to the PRS, what's that new this year, guys? The PRS skill stage. Yeah, so you transition from 4 different points along the way, and so it's very similar to that setup for this year. And then we also had a stage where we started off on the prone position and then moved down onto a tripod, and we encountered some high winds in that stage. It wasn't very windy throughout the day, very light winds, but the last stage we had gusts about 20 to 30 miles an hour. So it was overall interesting and a good match that varied up a lot of different things.
Chris, tell us about some of the unique techniques that you saw being used on the various stages of the match.
Yeah, some of the unique techniques that I did see from some of these guys that were more experienced were on the PRS skill stage, where you had transition to 4 different parts of the barrier. They were using a tall tripod, gripping one of the legs using their support arm to stabilize the rear of that tripod, or the rear of their rifle off of that tripod, and it worked out quite well for them. And being a lefty, sometimes it's a little different for me, like the Connex box that we had to shoot off the top of. A right-handed shooter, not so difficult, but a left-handed shooter coming in, I think sometimes the match directors forget to incorporate us or think about us from time to time because we're such a small niche within the competition field. But the tripod thing was one thing. Also, guys were shooting off of the some of the techniques they use to shoot off of the ball head for the pig saddle. The same as you guys have discussed before, utilizing your sling to come up underneath the tripod, hooking it into your belt, and then using your hips to back away from the tripod and tighten up that shooting position. That was another good piece of shooting techniques that I can throw in my tool bag from this match.
Yeah, Chris, when I saw the footage of the Connex box, I thought exactly what you did. It's like a left-handed shooter. If there's a requirement you keep your feet on the ground, you just have to shoot that weak side. I think that's the only way you could tackle that.
Yeah, I wound up shooting it as a lefty would, but it was definitely, I might have been better off going weak side on that, actually. I'll be honest, once I got in there, I kind of just, squeezed that round off to get off to the next part of the stage because it wasn't a good, comfortable position for me, so.
Now, Chris, we're going to change gears a little bit. As a new enthusiast to the precision rifles shooting sports, we understand that you're looking at some new scopes. In fact, you had your hands, or you still have a test evaluation unit from Burris, the Extreme Tactical Rifle Scope 5-25 by 50. Tell us a little bit about your experience in testing that out, or just give us an overview of that optic.
Yeah, I've got the Burris here. Burris was very kind and lended me an evaluation product for the next few months. I've been able to get it mounted up, take it out to the range a few times, get it zeroed twice actually, because I first had it set up in an ADM mount, but it was a little higher off the bore than I liked, so I switched to a set of separate TPS, conventional 2-ring style, and had to re-zero that. But the scope, it features a 10 mil turret, so it doesn't have the 5 mil per revolution like my old scope did. I find that to be very convenient because I don't have to keep up with which revolution I'm at. That'll get me out past 1,000 yards with my current Creedmoor setup. The parallax I found to be spot on. I did shoot a match with it a week ago, and I just basically set the parallax somewhere close to the middle, and the picture was really clear. And I have noticed also that as a 34 millimeter tube, whereas my last scope had a 30 millimeter tube, and just the field of view seems to be wider, and it seems like a better picture when you're looking through. And the glass itself was really clear. I've been impressed so far with that.
Yeah, we saw them at SHOT Show, and obviously we didn't have a chance to shoot them, but to your point, it felt like a quality item, and for somebody getting into the sport, sounds like a really, really good option. And let me ask you, I mean, it's got a pretty generous magnification range, 5 to 25. But where did you practically find yourself? Did you find yourself cranking it up, or were you somewhere in the middle?
I was basically set on 15 power the whole time. I found that was a pretty good setting for power-wise. The last several matches, I've definitely learned that I need to stay kind of in the mid/edge of the lower power for scopes, because I have found myself different times on stages zoomed in too far and then kind of getting lost on the course of fire because I was having to transition a lot more because my field of view was so narrow. So I set it on 15 and left it there pretty much the whole time.
Now, on those turrets, you mentioned it's 10 mils per rev, mil, right? So mil reticle. Tell us a little bit about that reticle. It is first focal plane, but the reticle itself, tell us about how that's set up and how it's working out for you.
Yeah, this one I have, it's a mil. It's the SCR reticle, so their special competition reticle that they came out with, I believe, in the fall of last year to update this scope. And it's a very useful reticle. It doesn't have the Christmas tree style that some of the others do. I think it's kind of half and half where the guys do or don't like that. But the windage calls are in 0.2 mils, and out on the far ends of the top and the left and right, it actually gives you a 0.1 mil scale for ranging targets or something along that lines. I used it for zeroing too to do my final adjustments by measuring them.
And what was the zeroing procedure? What was that like? What's involved?
Yeah, so this one's a lot easier than some of the other systems. It doesn't use shims or anything like that. You literally just loosen the hex screws. There's 2 on the each turret, and then you're going to zero your rifle, loosen your hex screws. You're going to compress the turret down as much as you can, and then set it to the 0, tighten your screws back up, and it's a mechanical zero stop. So there is no going 0.2, 0.3 mils past that 0. When you get to 0, it stops.
And as a left-handed shooter, was there anything with the ergonomics of the scope or the layout of the controls that didn't work very well for a left-handed shooter, or did you find it was very amenable to a left-handed shooter?
It's set up like most of the scopes are, so I didn't find any difficulty. As a left-handed shooter, as you well know, sometimes for us setting the parallax, because we do have to come off and reach up for that, or look around the scope mount to see what our parallax actually is, can be challenging, but overall I felt it was set up really nice.
Well, I also see that the warranties in the industry are becoming quite generous. I see that it has the Burris Forever warranty. Is there anything about that you can share with us?
Yeah, the warranties are becoming favorable for the consumer. in the scope industry. It's kind of similar to some of the other warranties out there. Basically, any mechanical failures of the scope, any way it doesn't perform to the way you expect it to perform, whether it be a blurry spot in the glass or the turret's not functioning properly, or the fact that it doesn't track true, Burris will accept it and exchange it out for you if they can't repair it, and send you another scope. So I did some review of the forums and stuff, and kind of saw what people were saying about it, and from what I've read, Burris stands by their warranty, and guys have been able to exchange or repair and been satisfied.
Now, we noticed in the unboxing portion of what you'd shared with us that it actually comes with a lot of accoutrements and accessories, scope caps, sunshade. Tell us about kind of your impression when you first opened the box and what you took a look at.
Yeah, I was very satisfied with everything that it comes with. The fact that it's supplied with a sunshade, so you don't have to go try to purchase one that doesn't quite have the same finish to it or something like that as the scope that you have, as well as another cost out of your pocket. And the fact that it does have the sunshades is another plus. I'd say that's about the only downside I can find to the scope at all so far is in the sunshade area. The ocular sunshade, it is too tough to open at times. So when I've closed the caps and then I go down to get in position, it takes quite a bit of struggle to get it open from time to time. The front one on the objective opens just a flip of the thumb, but the ocular one is a little troublesome at times. So it's good that they include them, but it could use a little fine tuning.
Well, again, they included them, which is 100% more than many other manufacturers. even high-end manufacturers are including with their scopes.
So the magic question obviously is price, and I think that's the sweet spot. Tell us about the price and who you think the scope is geared for.
Yeah, so this particular model, I believe the retail is a little over 14, street price is a little over 12. It's geared for an entry shooter, but at the same time, a experienced shooter can appreciate all the features and the quality that's included in the scope. I know this year the PRS has opened the factory division basically. So if you walked out and you purchased a Ruger RPR and you put a Burris on it, you're really not going to be losing anything to another guy out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
And mounting system, if you can just tell the folks how you mounted it.
Yeah, at first I started off with an ADM Recon S mount, but again, it was a little too tall for me above the bore. I didn't really like it the way it was set up, so I kind of set that to the side, and then I ordered a set of the TPS rings. Again, if you're on a budget, very nice set of rings. I got 34 millimeters, obviously, and they were a little over $100, and but their tolerances, I believe, are held somewhere in the neighborhood of the 0.2 of a 10,000ths when they're creating their rings. So very good solid rings. Once I got in the rings, I found the mechanical zero of the scope to be pretty close. It only took a few clicks here or there to get it zeroed. So Chris, is there any drawbacks or things that you would change about the scope, things that you may not have liked? Yeah, so far, I'm going to keep using it, give it a little bit more abuse, but so far through getting it mounted, taking it out to a couple of range sessions, throwing it in the truck, it getting kind of beat around the rough roads, and then again, so far I've been able to take it to one match. That match was a very windy match as well, a lot of fine dust blowing around, and I couldn't have anything that I would say bad about the scope itself. Like I said, I got a little problem with the opening of the lens covers, but again, if that's the worst thing you can say about a scope, you really just got to say there's nothing bad about it.
Chris, we really want to thank you for being a contributor to the show. You've certainly set a high bar.
Guys, hopefully you found this video episode interesting. If you liked it, Be sure to click the thumbs up on YouTube and share it with your friends on Facebook.
Remember, folks, life's an adventure.
Stay on target.